Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of... Wait a minute, this isn't Mario 64. What's going on here? I thought I was supposed to be finishing up the game at this point. Well, I was going to, but it started frustrating me, and honestly, I was getting kind of fed up with TikTok Clock. It was giving me some serious issues, and I just didn't want to finish it right now. So I've decided to move on and maybe come back to it later. Maybe with a few more viewers, it'll be more exciting when I actually manage to beat it. So for now, we're moving on to the next franchise I want to play over, the Munchables. You've never heard of the Munchables? Seriously? I mean, to be fair, I know I'm kind of old, but I'm not that old. The game was on the Wii. It was pretty good. I'll give you a little bit of intro right here.
This is the amazing planet of Starving. A fantastic world made up of many islands which are all connected by rainbows. This is where the Munchables live. They love to eat more than anything in the world. The Munchables' most prized possessions on the islands are the legendary orbs. They also have a leader, the Great Elder. The legendary orbs provide plenty of food for all of the Munchables, which keeps them very happy in their peaceful rainbow world. But one day, the carefree lives they once knew changed quite suddenly. A mysterious fleet of UFOs surrounded them and began flying all around the islands. One by one, they took away all of the legendary orbs. The strange aliens in the UFOs were able to use the tremendous energy from the stolen orbs. And this gave them incredible power. Suddenly, masses of aliens came pouring down from the UFO. They were a terrifying army of monsters. Space pirates called Tabiman monsters. Ooh, look how scary they are. This put the whole planet of Starving in peril, and the Great Elder was in desperate need of a plan.
You heard that right. The legendary orbs, not these pieces of what look like clearly colorful, poop, things like that. These magical artifacts that make things so much stronger have been stolen by an alien race of fruits and vegetables that are pirates. It's an interesting theme and a way of going about it, but at least it gives us a plotline to work with. Here's where things get a little interesting, though. I wanted to do a bit of a challenge run for this game. I figured maybe minimum dashes, minimum chomps. I don't know if I really want to do those right now, but they'll sound like they could be interesting. But what I wanted to do was a bit of a classic in the Kirby and Mario scene. Shout out to the YouTubers on screen, their YouTube channels are listed right there. Minimum jumps. Is it possible to beat this game with 0 jumps? I don't know, we're about to find out. But what is the minimum number of jumps that are required in order to beat this game is the absolute best I want to find out. To the best of my ability, at least. We begin our journey by picking Jumper, and the old man from the intro decides to give us a little bit of a pep talk and tell us that we need to do things for him. Like, help him eat the pirates, because they look tasty to us for some reason. I mean, whatever, they're a bunch of fruit and vegetables, it kinda makes sense. So, we decide to head right into level 1, and instead of taking us to level 1, it takes us into the tutorial. Now, like a lot of games with challenges like this, it's unfortunate because the tutorial means that we'll most likely need to do something like jump, or move around, or dash in order to learn the basic controls. However, what we can do is just quit the tutorial. It counts as us finishing the level, and we can progress easily enough. Simple as that. No jumps needed for the tutorial. Opening up into level 1, we're greeted with a scenic shot of the town on fire. Quite a fun thing to look at. I mean, not really, but anyways, our goal here is to eat a bunch of these fruits and vegetables to level up and gain size in order to be able to eat this spaceship to stop them from invading and continuing to attack us. Also, I realize I haven't really explained the mechanics of this game that well yet. There's 3 basic types of movement: walking around, jumping, and dashing. Dashing allows you to split enemies that are higher levels than you in half in order to, eat them as a lower level. Jumping obviously allows you to traverse around areas, and walking is, well, just walking. Pretty simple. The whole goal of the game, though, is to eat a bunch of fruits and vegetables to grow in size in order to try and eat the evil villains and, kick them out of your land. Or, consume them so that way they never have to show back up again. Now, I know what you might be thinking, and no, I haven't jumped a single time in this entire explanation. Every single one of those things that you saw right there were me walking up the wall. And I don't know exactly how to explain it, but there are several walls in this game that if you just walk into long enough, you'll kind of just traverse up them without even trying. And we're going to be abusing this quite a bit in order to avoid jumps. Here's the first example of us using a dash, as we have to break this enemy in order to progress. We have to eat the smaller parts in order to get big enough to eat these little crates here to get past. Now, if this were a no dash run, we would definitely have to take this into account and see if there's a way to avoid it, but honestly, I don't know that there is. After massacring a few more of the non-locals, we come across these mushrooms, which are a bit of an interesting situation. They definitely look like they're raised off the ground and away from each other, and yet somehow, when I came down here to try and get the acorn that I was looking for, I was able to just walk my way back up. Again, not really sure what's happened with these collisions, but I'm not going to complain in a minimum jump challenge. This just makes my life easier. Now, if you're wondering what those acorns are, there's a collectible at every level in the shape of these acorns, and if you collect all of them, you can get a little bit of a vanity item. However, I'm only going to try and collect as many as I can without jumping. If any of them require jumps, I will come back to them later with either new knowledge of tech, or I might have a little secret at the end of the series that I want to try out to see if it'll help me at all. So here's our first major obstacle. These flowers here on the right side that you can see. Yeah, I tried to go down and get the acorn and tried multiple things to try and get back. Honestly, I thought just being underneath it, the collision would push me back up, but it didn't. And I tried using a couple dashes to do the same, and to no avail. Nothing seemed to work. Well, I went ahead and restarted and decided to try again. Returning back to this point, I found another problem though. Even if I made it across to the middle flower, which wasn't very difficult, I had no way of making it to the third. I tried climbing up the wall, bouncing off of it, even using a little bit of the height and a dash to try and bounce across to the other side. And nothing seemed to work. Not even the weird wall hugging trick that allows you to gain some sort of height. It had no effect here. Suffice it to say, I had to take a jump here, because there was no other way for me to cross, which kinda sucks, as I was kinda close to the end from what I could tell. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a pattern of sorts where it's just one jump rather than a ton like I was expecting. Only time will tell, I suppose. Anyways, with that out of the way, we go right for the objective, as we don't want to stick around for anything extra because we don't want to get an extra jump added to our score. At the end of each level, you'll have a little bit of a session with the old guy who just tells you, oh, you did okay, or ooh, you did amazing, depending on how many meals/things you ate. It's nothing special, and even getting an S rank doesn't really do much that I'm aware of, so I'm not going to try and focus on that too much. He also is obsessed over the acorns, and he's the one who gives you the vanity items if you manage to collect them all. So this is level 2, and that is a leader pirate. Almost every level 2, if not every level 2, has a giant pirate that's considered a leader pirate. Basically a mini-boss that you have to beat in order to complete the level. And it's not too difficult. All you have to do is eat a bunch of other things and then punch them a few times to try and knock them down. Some of them you could even eat in one bite if you get enough meals beforehand. So, if you didn't catch on to what was going on there, yeah, this is where Jump 2 comes into play. Unfortunately, there's no flat surfaces to gain height on, my dash doesn't give me any sort of vertical, and walking into the cannon itself doesn't do anything. And unfortunately, until I can get rid of this old barrel thing on top, I can't progress. So, this means Jump 2, unless there's some sort of obscure mechanic I'm missing. It wasn't too long after when I got to this area that I thought I might have to take a third, as that barrel there is the same sort of predicament. Where there is a wall this time, unfortunately it's not quite the same as the regular walls that allow you to gain height normally, and it didn't quite do what I needed it to do. However, there's a bit of obscure tech that I did know about this time, and thankfully it allowed me to save a jump. However, I had forgotten about it at first and accidentally ended up eating all of these enemies and had to redo the level. And I'll show you here in just a moment why that's important, as you probably have figured it out, and if not, I'll show you. So here's the thing. When you come back to the area, these guys are higher level than you, meaning that you can dash into them and pop them. Several things happen. First off, you pop them, and they get smaller. Second thing that happens, though, is you go up a little bit in height after the bounce, allowing you to gain just enough height to eat the pumpkin thing and progress the level. After going through a little bit more of the level, I thought I was going to have to restart again because I killed all the large enemies and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to go enough heights to get over here to this cannon. However, thankfully I was able to just walk up it and trigger the A press in order to get across. No jumps needed for that, thankfully. Now we're right in front of the boss, and while I could probably technically take him out by popping him several times over, it wouldn't help much as he would re-merge by the time I could get even 1 or 2 hits on him. So I decided to go ahead and explore the level some more. As long as I can avoid jumps, I can gain size. So let's go ahead and keep exploring. We explore the area, finding anything and everything that we can use to gain size. We find this marsh, we find a couple of bridges, we find some other areas that we've actually explored before. However, with our newfound size, we're easily able to access the cannons and get through anywhere we'd like to. We actually even, in fact, eat this large watermelon dude over here, which is a unique enemy to this stage, and I think he's actually unique to only 2 stages in this game, meaning he's pretty special. Only a few more levels and we could chomp down this first boss with no problem. Oh wait, look, there's something over here. Huh? This giant... to be honest, I don't really know what she is, but she ends up helping us get to level 100, the max level of this level. Well, isn't that an interesting statement? Anyways, with this, we can actually eat the boss in one chomp, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. Launching across the world, we get to our final boss of this area, and down the hatch with you. Let's go! Pff, hole in one. So, yeah, this is Brocco Lee. He's supposed to be really strong, I guess, but he doesn't even really fight you with his hands. He spins around to throw you backwards and throws tomato bombs at you. I mean, it's kind of scary because, you know, they're explosives, but all things considered, I think him punching me in the face would probably do a lot more damage. Anyways, main gimmick of this boss fight is as much as many others, you know, open weak spot on the back. Pretty easy to just hit once he gets, oh, I'm so sleepy and tired because I threw 2 tomato bombs at you. You know, that kind of thing. And what's weird is, you make him smaller by hitting it, and yet he throws more tomato bombs. So how is he getting less tired from... Maybe it's from losing all those leaves when you hit him. I don't know. Either way, it's quite simple. You just run around, don't stop moving, he really can't hit you. Then grab all of his extra parts and hit him in the back 2 more times. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Once you do finally do this, you eat him right up, and you can finally get your shiny feces, I mean orb. Once you do this, the dark and ominous figure, definitely not the final boss, comes in to check on his loyal minion Broccoli, and starts complaining that he's lazy, and probably is just not paying attention because, you know, that's just how he is, and he should never have given him that power in the first place, blah 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 blah. Anyways, he gets angry and moves along to try and check on his other minions, but honestly, he's kinda slow to the uptake, and doesn't even realize that Broccoli's gone already. Okay, come on. They're not even trying to hide what this thing looks like anymore. He literally poops it out to display it on the front. I mean, I guess it's a magical orb, but like, why'd they have to do that? Come on, creators. You knew exactly what you were doing. After defeating Brocco Lee, we opened up the rainbow, to World 2, allowing us to access all of the second levels. Let's go ahead and jump right in to see how hard they are. We open into World 2 Level 1 with this shot of the ruins being, well, ruined by more of these giant fruit alien pirate things. And, you know, our goal as usual is to eat them all up. However, this time, there are machines disrupting the area and making this bone creature's energy be depleted, not allowing it to protect the area like it's supposed to, because it's been doing its job for several thousand years. This level starts off like many others. You go around, you eat some of the not-so-locals. However, some of them have made themselves feel at home and have given themselves some new attire, as well as a spear and shield to try and deal with me. But if they think that's going to take care of me, they're going to need a lot more than that. The first of the 3 main generators that we need to eat is literally right at the beginning area. You just eat up all the enemies nearby, and you grab it, and you can move on real easily. Next, we're going to grab one of these fruits and start exploring around to find the other 2 machines. They shouldn't be too far from here, I don't think. Here's where we run into one of my predicaments, though. I thought I was going to have to use a jump to get out of here, or at least restart the level in order to escape. I tried a lot of different things between dashing, moving, walking into walls, but I just couldn't seem to get out. However, I was able to eat the machine without even trying to get on land. Kinda nice, but still need to find a way to get out. Thankfully, after enough wandering around and pushing myself into walls, I did actually find one spot that allowed me to escape. I even jumped back inside to reattempt this, and it really was just that one spot that allowed me to escape. Don't know what it was about some of these other walls, but they wouldn't let me get high enough for some reason. Now, here comes the first predicament of the run, the heavy power-up. This allows us to bounce upwards and back to the ground, doing a shockwave of damage to lock people in place in order to eat them easier. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not actually manually jumping here, so I don't know if I should count this or not, but for this one at least, I'm not going to count it, and I'm going to try and avoid it as long as possible, but if I decide to use it to try and avoid using other jumps, I'm just going to count it as its own separate counter. For now, we'll just say it doesn't count though, since no progression was actually made using it. With that though, we decided to wrap up the last few enemies we had in the area, and go to get the last generator, being protected by the only banana left in the land. Now, with that being said, I thought this was the end of the level, genuinely, had forgotten that there was more to this level, but this level is much, much larger. Now, as you can see, there's a much larger group of enemies, and now we have to take care of 3 more generators. Except this time, they like to mess with our little map at the bottom. However, since this is the first level requiring this mechanic, it's not that bad. Hey, what was that? Play that back in slow motion! No, I'm telling you, that was a jump! I know some of you are probably going to say that, so I actually went back in the water and walked right out just to make sure that you saw it, so that way, I could prove I didn't actually jump, and if I did jump, that it's possible to get out, so I'm not counting it. I'm not sure if you saw what I just saw, but hitting that bomb actually jumped me on top of that wall. Damage boosting might be another one of those mechanics that's kind of weird that I might take advantage of later. But until I know better about how that mechanic works, we'll just kind of go with what we have for now. The second to last generator we get down here at the bottom next to this eggplant and this, I don't entirely know if that's like a radish or whatnot. And the last one was on the left, on top of this large flower lily pad thing. I guess that means that this entire level, in fact, is doable without jumps. How surprising. The next level places us in the desert, just outside of the quote-unquote temple ruins. I don't really know how far this is true, as these are completely separate maps, but that's what they say anyways. The goal here is to eat 6 of these large cactus enemies, and the boss is definitely one of them, as this is level 2, so there's definitely a mid-boss. So, I don't know how many of you know or have noticed this if you have played this game, but it feels like some of these levels you progress significantly faster than others. Like, you level up way quicker in certain levels than maybe, say, the first few levels. And not necessarily because it's an easier level, but just because the game feels like it. And let me explain. It almost feels like the Pokemon class, where some of them are slow experience groups and some of them are fast experience groups, meaning that you level up quicker or slower depending on the type of Pokemon you have. This one feels like just depending on the level you're playing, you'll just naturally level up slower or faster. Even if you eat just about the same thing in relative size to you on a previous level, you may level up 40 times there, where you'll only level up maybe once. The first of our unfriendly, prickly pals is guarding the first gate, allowing us access to the rest of the level. The rest of the cactus, however, are not doing anything similar. They are just kind of wandering about and minding their own business, chilling in the sand dunes. Whereas the last one is directly attacking us, and I will get revenge on him for that. But I don't really understand why we have to attack the other 3, but in order to progress, we have to, so I guess the job's a job. As I said before, all the other 3 of the smaller ones are progressing through these little sand dunes here. They're not really doing much, but with our large size we're easily able to press through this wind and get to them and chomp them right up. After grinding out a few more levels to try and get to max level for this, well, level, we get to the boss and realize that even if I were to be able to get max level, there's absolutely no way I can beat him. I can eat him up in one chomp. And you know, honestly, that's kind of unsatisfying. It's way more satisfying when you get to the boss and just eat him in one gulp. So much better that way. Did you see it though? Those sparkles above my head? Right at the end. It wasn't for very long, but you could see it. That meant I hit max level in that level, which isn't crazy or anything, but it's something, I guess. Alrighty, time for level 3, the second major boss of this run. His name? The Great Grapey. Wait, the Great Grapey? I mean, the Great Grape would have just been fine. Why'd they have the Y on the end of that? Who knows, who cares? It's time to consume this guy, but he seems a little big for that. So, how do you think we beat him? I mean, probably another obvious boss weakness, but how do you think we beat him? If you said launch the grape segments back at him and eat his small glowing green parts, you would be correct! But if you didn't say that, how dare you? Like, do you not even know this game by this point? Oh, wait, I guess this is the first boss that we've done with this type of mechanic. Let me just tell you, there's probably going to be a couple more of these. Over time, we whittle him down by launching his grape sack at him and eating his glowing green parts, but, I mean, much like every other boss, they do have a weak spot, and you just gotta keep moving to dodge their attacks. To be fair, half of these attacks I've just dashed through, and for some reason the collision just doesn't happen. But anyways, after doing this a few times, we knock the grapes out of him, and call it a day. After that, the big, bad, scary face man reappears and is looking for Great Grapey, but of course he's a little bit late again, as all villains do, and for convenient plot's sake anyways. He begins complaining, like he did with the last boss, and tells us that, oh my gosh, why is Grapey not doing his job? Why is he being lazy when he's got a job to do? And he goes to check the other pirates, because he wants to make sure that they're okay as well, since something strange is happening to them. After completing the level, we turn in our second orb this time. We turn in our second great orb, and we get the prize again. This time, though, we got all the acorns, allowing us to get 2 prizes. Kind of crazy, right? Except the acorns were kind of just sitting there, so it wasn't that hard. But anyways, that will conclude today's session. Wasn't too bad, all things considered, but I don't know how the rest of them will go. So, that was something. It definitely was no Mario 64, but it was a challenge and it was fun. Honestly, I quite enjoyed it and I'm glad that I had someone recommend me switch challenges, because Mario 64 was really giving me a bit of a pain. And I do plan on finishing it eventually, I just don't really know when I'll do it. But keep you in mind, if I get enough viewers, I might go back and finish it sometime soon. Let's go ahead and check in on the jump counter and see where we're at. It's not like the death counter, it's nicer thankfully, because it's not like I'm constantly dying, but it's also not like I'm constantly jumping, so we're actually doing pretty good. However, we only have 2 jumps? Wait, really? I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's very possible that that's all we have, in which case that's a ton. Or, that's just a little bit, in which case, oh no, what's coming up next? Either way, I hope you guys liked the video, and hope you have a good day. See you later.